For over a year, people told me to just drink a gallon of milk every day, also known as GOMAD, if I want to gain weight. That's an easy surplus of 2,400 calories a day, which should get me to any weight goal that I want in no time. All I can say is anybody that recommended this, A, has not done it themselves, or B, is a baby cow, because there is no other living organism on earth that should be drinking a gallon of milk a day. Now we're ignoring the fact that making this sound so easy. Oh, just an extra 2K calories on top of your regular food. I feel like that's kind of like telling someone, hey, you work a full-time job, but you don't like how broke you are after work? Just make an extra $200. Then you won't be as broke. Okay, it's possible. You can certainly do side hustles, you can grow a small business, you can potentially make $200 a day on top of your regular job, but it's not an overnight thing. It's not an easy feat per se. If it is, you should probably just quit your regular job. Okay, but none of that ultimately matters because I was everywhere. Violently. I don't use the word violently lightly. I was violently shitting. I'll try to not get too graphic, but I want to back up a little bit to another weight gain challenge I guess I tried, which was drinking 3 gallons of meal replacement shake in 1 week. That's equivalent to 3,000 calories a day just in meal replacements. Now I grew up drinking meal replacement shakes because I would not eat food as a kid, and so these kind of helped keep me from starving to death. But when I upped it to 3,000 calories a day, I started peeing out white stuff. Okay, that's speaking of being a kid. Sounds like I'm going through puberty again. Why is white stuff coming out of my willy? It's different. I think it was phosphorus. I'm not 100% sure, but this is phosphorus, and that kind of looks like what was in my pee. I was not able to notice if I used a regular bathroom. The only reason I noticed this is because I was on a long drive, peed in a bottle. I went to pour the bottle out later, and there was a bunch of white sediment in the bottle. I was like, what the hell is that? I thought maybe it was something that was just in the empty bottle. But just to check, I decided to pee again in a bottle like at home. Same thing, fills with milky white sediment. I tried it a few more times. Scientific method, of course. I kept pissing in bottles and I kept pissing out white fluids. Now the good news is my pee very quickly went back to normal after completing this soy shake challenge. However, we come around to GOMAD more recently, and this did not exactly help my urine. But honestly, my piss was the least of my concerns. It was constant pain and absolutely no gain. And in spite of drinking an obsessive amount of fluid, an obscene amount of milk, I think I started to get dehydrated, which in hindsight kind of makes sense considering what was happening to my insides. Everything was just pew. So I stopped before I saw any reasonable progress. But I started to freak out even after ending this disastrous challenge because anything with dairy, butter, cheese, ice cream, 3 of my staples in life, were destroying me. I could not consume any dairy, and I was like, did I make myself lactose intolerant? After a few weeks, I started to go back to normal, and if you are lactose intolerant, leave a comment down below if you also shit out milk violently. Apparently I should be doing more call to actions. I'm pretty sure that for a moment in time, for a few weeks in time, I was able to empathize with lactose intolerance. And I now have a new found gratitude for the ability to consume dairy products. With all that said, for over 90 days now, for the past 3 months, milk has still made up nearly 1/3 of my daily caloric intake. There's 2 differences though. One, it's not 16 cups of milk. Also, it's lactose free. I've mentioned this brand multiple times. I wish they were sponsoring me. They're not. They're always out of stock. They don't need to sponsor any stupid washed up YouTubers, but my beloved Fairlife. It tastes way better than Lactaid, which is also lactose free. This one also has 50% less sugar than regular milk. This literally sounds like I'm reading an ad. It also lasts a really long time in the fridge. The expiration is months out, but there's 2 problems. First of all, regular milk is what, like $2, $3 a gallon? Fairlife is $18 a gallon. I'm spending $180 a month on milk. The average American spends $400 a month on all of their individual groceries. I'm spending half that budget just on milk. That is 36 exclusive herpists. That is my $5 membership tier. So I decided to pick 36 members at random to designate as the official Herp Club milkmen, making it possible, okay? The first 5 that were pulled were Static Flash, Min, Vilecat, Calista Martinez, and Wilfred. The other 31 are on screen. So if you want, you can help fund other aspects of my life. In return, you get access to over 100 members only videos and the Discord server, which I am active in probably as you watch this video. So you can come and ping me and be like, yo, this video sucks. But anyway, as somebody who is now more than 90 days into drinking an absurd amount of milk every day, I do have some suggestions. Now, I can't give a ton of advice because I have gained very little weight, but I think I can give more advice than people who have literally never even tried or needed to, because I'm still figuring it all out myself. But I see a lot of like comments with A, just bad advice in my opinion, and B, it's people that are kind of like me that comment, and then people will respond like, well, just force feed yourself. And I get a little bit defensive over the people who are in my shoes who are commenting, and then they just get this useless information. You've been asking for it, all right? We're taking a trip down memory lane. Check it out, we got B-roll. I have all of the footage from the reptile days. Part of my daily routine back when I was working with reptiles was force feeding animals. When I had a team of people working on these animals, it was often the task of 1 or 2 people where the only thing they do the entire workday is focus on just 1 or 2 animals with the sole goal of keeping them alive. Some of these animals were too weak to even get the nutrients inside themselves that they need to stay alive. So what would happen if we just shove food or fluids down an animal's throat? It would usually just come straight back up. Getting nutrients to stay inside these animals was more difficult than actually getting it in. And so it was just a very delicate and slow process. Whether it was fluids through an IV to literally just a tube down their throat, the key was always to do this as gradually and carefully as possible, making sure not to overdo it, because not only would an animal regurgitating reset the whole process, but the experience of regurgitation itself took a lot of energy and toll on the animals. And when doing this with a person or yourself, even if not on the verge of death, they often still have the same physical reaction. I wonder how I know. Here's a fact that you didn't ask for and probably don't want to know. If milk comes back up quickly enough, it still just tastes like regular milk. You can't even tell it's been anywhere else. For years, I've taken possibly excessive amounts of anti-nausea. Sometimes I got a little bit hooked, not in the sense of addiction hooked, but hooked in the sense of reliance, where I would struggle to get even a single calorie in my body without, say, Dramamine, which is just over-the-counter. But similar to other over-the-counter products, Dramamine isn't really intended to be consumed every day, multiple times a day. I saw a small effect from it, even if it was just placebo. It would help me get by some days. And so through more effort than I would like to admit, I have gotten up to 6 cups of milk a day, which is 900 calories. It might not be the full 2,400 calories, and I've done it without turning into a human fire hose. The same way you become more flexible and stretch a muscle through very gradual, uncomfortable, like discomfort feeling, but not to the point of severe pain where you're gonna tear your muscle or hurt yourself. It is, whether I like it or not, the only way I've been able to go from a small amount of milk a day to a lot of milk a day. I'm an enjoyer of straws. This is a pro-straw household. We are very anti-sea turtle here at Herp House, but they've had to go. It's now turtle safe. Wow, 2 reptile references in one video. We're crushing. Because I'm now only allowed to chug my beverages. So I decided to set a benchmark, which is how many gulps per chug can I do? So like if you're drinking, you're like gulp 1, gulp 2, gulp 3. My benchmark was 4. 4 is where I wanted to be like, all right, I'm done drinking. I want to stop now. And so I used that as my baseline, and I decided, just kind of completely frivolously, I just made it up, I'm going to increase 1/2 of a gulp per chug per day. So if every time I pick up the milk, I normally chug 4 times, then for a day I did 4.5 times. The next day, maybe I would stick to that, or maybe I would increase another half to 5 gulps per time, to 5.5, to 6, to 6.5. It was essentially basing my progress on ability and not like an arbitrary number. So like, oh, I want to drink 4 cups of milk per day or 16 cups of milk per day. It was more like, here's how much I can chug in one sitting. I'm gonna try to chug a little bit more each sitting. I think it's similar to if you're trying to lose weight and you're like, I want to burn an extra 500 calories per day. I mean, you certainly could do that. You can track how many calories you're burning, but potentially what's a little bit more sustainable is increasing something you're doing based on ability. So if you're like walking 5,000 steps a day, you might say, I'm gonna walk 5,500 steps a day. It's basing it on what you do instead of the result, I guess. And for me, in the case of milk, this has worked. My new baseline for how much I'm able to comfortably gulp per chug is 10 gulps. It's more than double. It's a lot of gulping. If I really want, I can push it to 11, but 11's where I'm like, though I will say about 4 days ago, I don't know, sometime this week, I was pretty far behind on my calories for that day. And so I was like, all right, it's almost midnight. I gotta get some calories in me. I sat down and I drank 8 cups of milk. So that was this plus 2 extra cups at once. I sat at my desk just groaning for like 45 minutes. I couldn't move. It was too much. But overall, it's been helpful. It's been an improvement. Another fun fact I learned through drinking all this milk is it contains tryptophan, which makes you sleepy. It's like a melatonin response. I don't know. I'm not a scientist or nutrition or dietitian or have any understanding of anything. All I know is when I drink 6 cups of milk, I go sleepy really fast. And I was like, why does this keep happening? I Googled it. Apparently, an excess of 2 cups per milk reasonably will make you kind of tired. So I drink 6 cups, I go to bed really fast. This is actually recorded the next day because I just did my milk drinking. I'm really sleepy. I only got up 3 hours ago. I want to go to bed now, but I have to fight through it every day. Otherwise I would just drink milk, sleep, drink milk, sleep. I wonder why. Is this like so that the baby cows go to bed so that like they drink and then stop whining and then the moms get a break or something? Oh God, I'm so tired. It passes though. I just have to push through. All right, yeah. Anyway, back to what I filmed yesterday. The second problem is milk is filling, believe it or not. I mean, it turns baby cows into big cows, so it makes sense that it's dense and it's filling, which means that if I sip on it throughout the day, it's gonna kind of wreck my appetite. So sadly, even though I don't like doing this, I have to pretty much drink it all in one sitting every time. It's like an additional meal on my regular meals. And I think this is kind of the idea behind GOMAD, is do it in excess to your regular food. I just think that that's a ridiculous amount, and people did not warn me about the lactose. And a final question that people reasonably ask is, why don't I mix stuff into the milk? For example, Mass Gainer by like Optimum Nutrition. I've actually gone through an entire tub of one of these. Very simply put, I consume more calories at the end of the day if I don't mix stuff in. It makes it chalkier, it makes it thicker, it makes it denser. Yes, that's more calories, but it's simply harder to chug, harder to keep down, and harder to prepare. It's an extra step, but for me, it's more simple to just go straight Fairlife whole milk. And so I can give a status update. In my last video, I went from 112 pounds to 117 pounds. I think faster, like that's the fastest I've gained 5 pounds pretty much ever. And since then, I have gained another 2 pounds. 119 pounds is the most I have weighed in my entire life. So no matter how much of it might be water weight or hair weight, it's progress. And we're breaking personal records. So at the end of the day, should you do GOMAD? Well, most of you watching probably don't need to gain weight. You're just here for the ride. You're just chilling. You're just seeing what's popping. And for those of you that are trying to gain, I mean, I'm not your dad. Could be, I'm not. But I would say no. Not even because of the volume, but simply because if my friend were to ask me, should I do it? I would say no, just because of the amount of lactose. Maybe not everyone will have this reaction, but I don't see any reason to risk it. At the very least, do lactose free, even though it's really expensive, and build up from there. So that's what I'm doing at least, and I am seeing minimal, but I'm seeing progress. It's happening. So maybe you can take something away from this video. If not, I'm gonna beat you up in an alleyway if I ever find you. I have a Herpagains playlist that dates back to last year if you wish to see more like this. And I have a Discord server if you want to chat with me and everyone else that's there. That'll be it. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.